Today, I'd like to share with you specific details about several of our courses for the summer, an in-person course, an online course, and a summer conference course that we have, as well as our own virtual conference. I'm very happy today to also be able to introduce you to two of our Model UN coaches. So let's begin with hearing about our in-person courses from Brian. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Deborah, and good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for attending this open house and for your interest in our summer programs. My name is Brian Sutliff, and I have 30 plus years of Model UN experience. I've helped organize conferences, including brand new conferences for both middle and high school students across the United States, and also bringing in schools from other countries, from overseas. I have been involved in pretty much every aspect of Model UN conference organizing, as well as Model UN coaching at both the high school and middle school level. And I'd love to go forward as we move through some of the slides about our summer in-person MUN series. So starting off, we have 3 camps that we're running in the summer in July in New Jersey, and we will be happy to accommodate students from grades 3 through 12 at these camps. There's the 5-day camp, then overnight camp of 6 lesson days and 5 nights, and then the international camp over 2 full weeks, where we will also be visiting some very prestigious universities and some important historic and cultural sites in the northeastern part of the United States to give these students an even greater exposure to a lot of the academic and cultural opportunities. So starting with the Little Diplomat Camp for the 5 days, we have similar itineraries in the sense of we're going to provide all of the key skills and training that will be needed for every level. We will be happy to accommodate people who are brand new to Model UN, but we can also work with those who have more experience and are really aiming to become the top Model UN students at different conferences around the country and honestly around the world. So we can see here our overall plan. And as we move into the getting closer to the summer itself, we will provide very detailed itineraries for each day and what the different types of sessions will be. If we want to move to the next slide, please. And here we see even for the overnight camp, and again, building upon the sense of understanding exactly what Model UN is, and then how to use the rules effectively within your respective committees and at different conferences, how to really improve your public speaking skills and overall presence, how to work collaboratively, and at the same time be able to advance the goals and policies of the country or individual that you're representing. So there are both collaborative and then more competitive strategic elements that will be part of all of the training. Next slide, please. And some of the key skills that we always emphasize in any Model UN: thinking critically and being able to come up with multiple potential solutions, especially ones as we build in negotiating skills and teamwork, where not only can you or the country you're representing benefit, but how can others benefit too? How can you bring them onto your side or to work with you? Obviously, the ability to speak in both prepared and extemporaneous or impromptu fashion is really critical. And not just in Model UN, it's certainly something that we would use in teaching, in business, in almost any field you can think of. Becoming an effective leader and presenting yourself extremely well, but also getting other people to see the point of view that you're bringing, the perspective that you want to emphasize, and helping them develop their own skills and perspectives. And then obviously being an effective global citizen, being very knowledgeable and considerate, and understanding how to maneuver and work in different situations and in different countries. Next slide, please. In terms of some of the main items or concepts and skills, certainly knowledge of the UN system and related agencies around the world, including the foreign ministries or state departments, et cetera, of different countries. how to effectively use rules of order and debate, Model UN, in the committees themselves. Reading the background guides, which I've written many over the years, and they are quite extensive in many cases, but there are some real keys to using them effectively and to being the most prepared individual in the room. When you are, you can really take control of the environment in so many ways. The topics and country research, which will be vital. You are the best speaker when you are the most prepared and you know exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish and what you'd like to get across. Position papers, which are very effective in terms of communicating what your country wants to accomplish in a relatively short amount of time and setting the agenda overall. The speeches that can build off of your position statements. Draft decision writing. The UN system uses resolutions and communiques and other documents, and it does take some time to work. I'm sure as an English language arts teacher, Deborah, you know all about the process of revising and editing and collaborating. And then, of course, with a mock conference, because we can study and we can have workshops and seminars, but it's really when we put them into practice that these skills really take off. And that's also where students discover the real joy and the fun. The other items are valuable, and I definitely enjoy the research and the writing, but it's really when you can bring it together in the conference and you can also see your students shine as a coach and teacher. That's always a highlight, and I think something really critical in terms of, again, the overall itinerary here. We start C2 with the international camp. Then we build in some of those great visits to some other uh, campuses, particularly in the Northeast and the Mid Atlantic of the United States, with highlights of visiting Princeton, Columbia, NYU, and Penn campuses specifically, as well as obviously the UN building itself or complex, which is always a great visit and an incredible area to see, as well as, again, some of the sites in New York, in Philadelphia. Next slide, please. This gives an overview of all the days, including in that second week, visits to, as it says, UPenn and Independence Hall in Philadelphia, which Philadelphia is great to visit and see a lot of the sites, the Constitution Center, see, where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were drafted and signed. Then in Princeton itself, and then visiting the university, seeing some of the high schools in the Princeton area. And then towards the end of the last couple of days, going to Columbia and NYU in the city and visiting the UN headquarters in the city as well. And then with the return to fly home in early August. Next slide, please. On this slide, we can see some of what the campus looks like, which is really beautiful and in a really nice historic area. Very comfortable arrangements and overall environment, very conducive to excellent learning, but also maybe enjoying a little bit of break between semesters. And for me, getting out of maybe the most extreme heat and humidity of Florida, although I know New Jersey can be pretty warm in July too, but it is a nice break from where I live. And then obviously, again, looks like a beautiful campus and environment in which to learn and study and to meet some great students from all over. Next slide, please. On this slide, we can see again 4 extremely prestigious universities, all with their unique histories and incredible facilities, including Princeton, Columbia, NYU right in the heart of the city, and then UPenn in Philadelphia, all of which are, again, outstanding and highly prestigious competitive colleges that are recognized worldwide and are excellent places to study, all of which are, Model UN centers too. Then a couple of the schools in the New Jersey area so that you could see places to study even in advance of perhaps applying to some of these very selective colleges in the United States or elsewhere. Next slide, please. Seeing some of Philadelphia, which is a beautiful city and a lot to take in there, and a lot of great historic and cultural sites. And the Constitution Center in particular is spectacular. Next slide, please. And then obviously New York, which is truly one of the greatest cities in the world, and the experiences there and the sights, and obviously seeing the UN itself is for me always a real highlight, and knowing the debates and the discussions that go on in that building on a daily basis and have over the last 75 years in the headquarters in New York. Next slide, please. And that shows the UN. And so I would just like to thank everyone for the opportunity to address you, and hope that this has provided some real insights as to our programs that are coming up. I think there's a little bit more on maybe the next slide. And then this moves into the next part of the presentation. So thank you so much. And I'll turn it back over to you, Deborah.